Chicago Vintage and Custom Drum Show 2023 at the Erie Drums and Shells booth, where what is it? Get Bent. I see that a lot. So you want to tell us what you brought here?
Well, we do all steam bent solid shell drums and shells that we make entirely ourselves.
Nice.
So
yeah, let's pull one of these out here. So you're telling us you use a lot of how you're kind of unique in how you harvest your lumber.
Well, nowadays, over the next year or two, we're trying to switch over to all either reclaimed or what we call no-kill woods.
Okay.
Which it's basically trees that have fallen by nature and not at the hand of man. So basically, this shell, no tree was killed in the making of it. You know, and of course, you know, it has obvious environmental advantages.
Yeah.
And we even go so as far as a lot of other people, when they harvest the tree, they'd harvest the whole tree. And like the part they want to use would be logged out, and then the part they didn't would be turned into firewood.
Okay.
But we actually only take the section we're going to use, and then we leave the rest of it to rot in the woods, so the little creatures and bugs have a home in the future.
Nice. That's super cool. Yeah, it's super unique, and your shells look gorgeous. So.
Yeah.
So what's this made out of?
This is cherry, and it's off my friend's property. And one unique thing I thought of when we build these into regular drums, like here, Lyle.
Yeah.
Like this drum you see here, it kind of adds to the story a little bit. You'll see it's signed Fritz No Kill Cherry.
Yeah.
It lists the person whose property it came off of.
Oh, wow. So that's your friend Fritz.
Yeah, his last name's Fritz,
Okay. Yeah,
Sam
yeah.
Fritz. So we plan on, you know, making it so it's possible to track it all the way back to,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the story on stuff is good. And just like on the reclaimed front, like, this walnut drum here is made out of about 100-year-old table leaf.
So you literally took a table you found, bent it.
Well, actually, I didn't even have the whole table.
Oh.
We actually have a record shop in Akron, Ohio, or in Barberton, Ohio, where we're from. And we get a lot of our stuff off of like the scrappers and stuff that too. And they know I do this too. So they'll bring me furniture pieces, or like we did a whole drum set out of joists from a 1890s Victorian house that was torn down in Akron. And he brought me by just this odd table leaf that someone had made, and it was half oak, half walnut. Someone was just piecing together whatever they had.
Wow.
And you wouldn't be able to see it on camera, but on the inside of this, you can actually see where that little latch that they put under table leaf was attached to the inside of this.
That's really cool. Yeah, you're just taking.
And I like to leave the history. I like to leave the story.
Have you ever done like a commission piece where someone gave you some wood they had, or is that?
It tends to turn into a disaster.
Oh, okay.
You know, and that's one thing. We're not like a custom company.
Yeah.
We build what we build. And the reason we do it is because I learned about 10 years ago, we've been around for about 20, that we let the wood decide what it becomes.
Nice, yeah.
So we don't go like someone's like, I want a walnut drum.
Yeah.
We don't do that because if I can't find the right piece of wood, then I'm compromising. So it's got to be like I'm at a store in the woods or whatever, and I see that piece of wood, and the piece of wood, I don't really think it says this, but the wood has got to kind of call out like, hey, I want to be a snare drum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you go out and you look, but if you're trying to fulfill an order, you're under the gun.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I have to make a maple shell. I can't find good maple, but I got to get this anyway because I have to get it done.
So it's just a labor of love for what you can find.
Yeah, I wanted And who wants to do the same stuff all the time?
Yeah, I get that.
So everything's completely unique. You know, everything that's not deadfall wood or anything that's not reclaimed, it's from local, like, backyard mills within 40 miles of our place. And basically, it's small tree service wood, which, say you had like a maple tree that was like growing into your sewer at your house, and it had to be taken down. That's where the other half of our wood. So nothing comes from commercial logging, nothing comes from big logging industry, whatever. It's all local guys with sawmills in their backyard.
All Ohio, for the most part, lumber.
And I like the regional wood because it's a little warmer by us than it is across the lake in Canada. And our wood tends to be a little less dense and heavy than the commercially logged wood.
Yeah.
And I like what it does for the sound.
Cool.
And on top of that, we're doing this at prices other people can't touch in solid.
Yeah, what do these run?
Okay, well, this show's a little different.
What do they normally run?
Normally, like something nice and deep, like our no-kill stuff, will be under 500.
Yeah.
But we always have selections for down to about 300.
Oh, wow.
And then we also make it possible for people to be able to afford them because we do things like drum reshelling.
Okay.
Like, say someone has their Pearl Export snare drum that the hardware is nice on it. They don't really like the sound. They buy the shell. We charge them like $80 for the labor, and their drum shows back up looking like one of these.
Wow. That's super nice. So you even like reclaim the logs and reuse some of that stuff sometimes.
Yeah, no, we reclaim a lot of stuff all down the line, and so, but it's kind of our mission not to join that race to the top of the price thing.
Yeah.
I want people to play it. I want regular people to be able to own something that only those insane people who can afford more than $1,000 for a snare drum can afford.
It looks like you make a lot of snare drums, but it's really cool. Can you tell me about this kit right here?
Well, that is a rainbow poplar. Obviously priced so we don't have to carry it home.
Yeah, that's always the show special. Is I'd love to go home. I'd love to just roll up my carpet and leave.
This one, I mean, this is just wood I picked up at a mill or whatever. But another kind of kick I've been on lately is just because poplar is a cheap wood does not mean it's a bad wood.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen or known any correlation between expensive wood and good sound. You know what I mean?
I was at a thing where someone was quizzing a really very famous guitar maker, if not one of the most famous, and they asked him how much he thought wood contributed, and his answer was, if I made it out of wet balsa wood, it probably would sound bad. And that was all he would say.
No, it's true. It's about how it's made. It's about a lot of things, and just because a wood's not, people, they hear with their eyes a lot.
Agreed, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It looks good, and I don't know how many times, and I learned this early on in my career, that if it doesn't sound good, I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't want my name to be on this thing that might look beautiful, and the guy goes out like, hey, listen to this, and the second he starts playing, everybody's like, well, that's,
Yeah.
that sounds, so.
It does look, I wouldn't even have guessed it. I know a lot of woods, but that looks a lot more ornate and pretty than I would have guessed a poplar would have looked if you'd have just told me. And
Rainbow, it's basically caused by that poplar tree was growing in like a deposit of some kind of a mineral, like an iron or something like that. And when it sucked it up into the roots, it discolored the wood.
It's funny how many pretty patterns we like are tree diseases and things like that.
No, I mean a lot of them are, and then you get rainbow poplar. And the nice thing about like our simple oil finishes and other stuff like this, I mean, you should have seen what the wood looked like before I had to plane and sand it down.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a real dark, bright rainbow. And as the sunlight hits this and as it oxidizes, that will return to it. So we don't cover it and slather it and poly. We make the stuff so it ages naturally, and you know, like our cherries turn that nice dark brown over time. We try to let nature do what nature's supposed to do.
Really cool. Yeah, it's a really great mission. They're really beautiful drums. I super appreciate you talking to us